What's up, everybody? I'm back this week with a new update in my devlog. This week, we're going to look at mostly level creation. So stick around, we'll talk about it. All right, welcome back to Neon Dream Games. And as you guys know, I've been working on my Flappy Bird sort of clone game called Flutter Plane. Last time I made some pretty strong forward progress in just the general gameplay. The game is playable for the most part. And this time I wanted to create some levels. And what I was going for was creating 3 levels that I curate myself. And I also wanted to create some sort of procedurally generated level as well, where the trees and clouds are randomly placed into the game. So to begin with, I created my own levels, and let's just pull up Godot and take a look at it a little more closely. Okay, so as we can see here, this is now, at least currently, going to be my level 1, and I may tweak it. All these levels I decided are going to be about 40 seconds in length. That's about how long it takes you to get through it. But of course, it's a little more tricky than that. It usually takes a little bit of trial and error to get through it. But what I ended up doing, so what you guys saw last time, I decided to make my level 3, and that's this level here. Now you can see there's a much greater, densely populated level, same length, but much more populated. And that was proving to be extremely difficult to get through. I've only actually completed it once and played it several times. So I figured this probably has to be my level 3. So what I ended up doing for level 1 was, honestly, I just removed some of the trees. I think I maybe shuffled a few things around a little bit, but for the most part, I just removed a lot of the in-between trees that were there. Kept the landing pad. That's going to be the final goal, is to land on the landing pad. You know, I created a couple things where there's like, oh, 2 trees right next to each other, little bit of variance like that. So there's like tiny challenges, so it's not just super easy, but I guess I'm gonna have to find out, because I'm gonna have to have maybe people play test it or something. But I think in the end, this is just gonna be another sort of hard game. But that's level 1. Level 2, again, started to bring in a little bit more of that dense population to the trees. Yeah, like we have a couple of interesting things now. It's kind of funny because it almost starts off a little easier. There's just a little, somewhat spaced out, but at the same time, you get to the end here, and I create these quick successions of like almost little runs you have to get through, and that makes it much more difficult. But I still don't think it's anywhere near as hard as level 3 is. So that's the general idea for the 3 levels. Again, let's just take a look at level 1. We'll just play it for a second here. You can see it in action. See, even that, like, I'm barely through it. You really have to think about how to get through these. Oh, okay. I'm creating, there's extra trees and things here. There's a reason for that. I forgot. So each of my levels uses the same level script. And one thing I wanted to do, and I had talked about in previous videos, was a sort of time attack mode or something. I still haven't figured out. I don't think I'm going to do a time attack mode anymore. I'm just going to do a random level generator, and I may do 3 levels of difficulty, or I just may do a increasing level of difficulty. I haven't decided. I could really do any of it. So this will create more randomness to the game. I really could just replace all my levels with this, and maybe that's the smarter way. I'm not sure yet. I think I want to still have my curated levels, but back to that. So here we go. We have a random level generator. So I essentially created just a blank level, and I'm assuming, could randomly generate the ground tiles as well. And I don't know, I guess I just didn't want to figure that out. And I kind of want the levels to end at a same point, because it just gets to be so difficult to continue to last forever. We'll look at that. We'll decide if that's something I want to change. But I only have this one tree in here right now as just a placeholder, but really I don't even need the tree because if we get into the code, I ended up doing this whole generate level thing. So up here in the ready function, I have if random level, which is a variable I created, a Boolean variable that I've just set to true right now, but this will all be kind of dictated by the main menu screen, which is something I still need to make. In fact, do I have? Yeah, this is sort of the idea for my main menu so far. I haven't fleshed it out fully yet, but I think I'm going to have this sort of paper plane kind of fly in. Flutter plane will maybe float down or do something. And then here I think I'm just going to have text in the main area, maybe like level select or maybe a difficulty select or something, options, general main menu type stuff. And that will lead you into the game. So back here, when you click the random levels or whatever, it'll set the random level Boolean to true. That will trigger on the ready function to generate a level, which comes down here into the generate level function. And honestly, I knew how to do this in my head, but I just didn't want to take the time to sit and think through it and math it all out. So I used ChatGPT to give me the code for this. I explained what I wanted it to do. I said there are certain like Y variables and Y scaling and stuff, or Y positions and Y scaling that needed to happen, distances between the tops of the trees to the clouds. And I put all that information into ChatGPT. It spit out this code. And what I did, so before I did the code, I was like, how would I do this? And I was thinking, okay, it's going to be probably a for loop. And I didn't quite know how I was going to do it. In essence, for the for loop, I wasn't sure if I wanted to create some sort of array or something that had the trees and clouds in it, or if that was what needed to happen. In the end, there is no arrays. This just works. And I went through line by line, made sure I understood everything. That's one thing I do. If I ask AI to generate code for me, I go line by line through it and make sure I understand exactly what it's doing because I want to be able to tweak it if I need to. I want to understand what it's doing. And I understood everything. It was pretty much kind of what I thought would happen, but just saved me a lot of time. So again, using AI as a tool is great. So in this case, we can change all these things. We have a variable for the number of trees. It's going to generate 10 trees. The trees are going to start outside of the right edge of the screen. So you're going to, start moving as soon as the level starts. The trees will start coming in. Currently, I have the spacing set to 200 pixels apart, and that seems okay. Again, that sort of will change probably on difficulty. So that is certainly going to be something that will change. These are all things I can tweak. Possible scales. This was something I had to add into the mix because, so in my regular levels, the trees are all scaled on the Y scale. I have one tree and I just scaled it up or down on the Y axis, which essentially elongates it or shortens it. And I just thought that was the easiest way to create randomness because in Flappy Bird you have the pipes. The pipes all have different heights and where they are on the screen. So I thought, okay, that's fine. So the trees need to vary. The clouds just are a fixed pixel distance from the top of the tree to the bottom of the cloud. And what I came across when at first I just did a completely random scale between 0.8 and 1.2, but I found that the pixel art for the tree was sometimes, depending on the scale that was randomly chosen, it cut off the pixel art or something. It was doing something weird. So I ended up going through here and doing 5 possible choices for scales. So they are fixed. It is random, but they are fixed at 5 different tree heights. And then again, we have the for loop. It just goes right through the for loop for the number of trees. In this case is 10, but we can change that as much as we want to. We have the tree scene. It instantiates the tree scene. The Y scale, again, we pick out of the possible scales, pick a random one. The tree needs to start at a certain Y position. So that's what all this is. And it plops a tree in there. Then there's another variable to calculate the top of the tree in the scene coordinates, so it knows where the top of that tree is and figures out the distance. And this, anyways, that's how it decides where to put the cloud based on where that tree was. And it just runs through that until all 10 trees in this instance are there. And here, I'll run that so you can see how that works. The first tree was one I planted, but then it goes into spacing of 200 and we're just getting random. See, look, like they're so spaced out and I still can't do it. This game, Flappy Bird, is ridiculous and so is mine, but creates a fun challenge. So yeah, well, I'd love to say I could get through all the 10 trees, but sometimes it actually takes a few tries. But you can get the idea. The trees are coming in at random heights, so that's how. Anyways, I can't get through it. That's what I did for the level generator. So I was pretty pleased with that, and it didn't take anywhere near the amount of time I thought it was going to take. I really would like to, in future games, understand procedural generation a little bit more, especially in a more complex way. But this was a nice way to see that sort of unfold and that I understand the code. That's what I have to pause and make sure I understand the code, because that is the most important thing. You can't just have AI generate code for you and not know what it does or how to manipulate it. And that's really all I got done this week. So I have to make some decisions still on how I want this game to lay out. Oh, and what I haven't done yet either in the generate level is to generate a landing pad. So that's one other piece, because I want that's to be the end. As we've said in previous episodes in this devlog, I do not like endless levels. I don't like endless runners. I want an end. So that's why I have the landing pad. You got to stick the landing, and that is one piece that I need to do. So basically, after it runs through the for loop of trees, it's going to throw a landing pad at the end. So that's final piece of the puzzle that I need to work on. And yeah, that's basically what I got done this past week. I'll be honest, it was really difficult to have any time this week to work on this. I believe this is now my fourth devlog for this game, which has spanned well over a month at this point. I never wanted to spend this amount of time on this game, but here we are. That's life for you. A few things that I want to do before fully releasing this game is, well, I need to create menus. I need to have some sort of main menu and then maybe like a pause menu type thing, options menu, which probably mostly will just be toggling music on and off. In the end, I'm probably just going to make this a web browser game on itch.io. And at that point, you can make it go full screen or whatever you need to do. We'll see. I probably should practice on how to select different screen sizes and stuff like that, or screen resolutions. We'll see when I get to that point. But for now, this is where I'm at. I need to create the menus. I need to create sound effects, which I'm also trying to generate with AI right now, just out of curiosity. I mean, I do have a membership to sound libraries that I could use if I want to. But one thing I want to do in the end is create a asset pack that you guys can purchase with all the assets for this game in case you wanted to make a similar game for yourself. You'll be able to play the game for free, but I probably will have the asset pack up for sale. So I thought if I could have everything be generated by myself or AI in some way and tweaked by myself or whatever, that way I can fully sell it, because I can't really just sell somebody else's assets as my own. So I'm messing around with some of that. We'll see in the end. Maybe it won't work. I've barely scratched the surface of that yet. But I want to make some background music, some sound effects. I did have ambitions of creating sort of like a wind gust effect with particles or something. I don't know if I'm going to get there. I kind of want to wrap this game up. I've already spent more time on it than I really want to. So these are meant to be short games in my 10 game challenge series. So it's meant to like try to make it as fast as I can and move on. But I'm still working on some just life balance, on figuring out work-life balance, basically like how much to work on certain things and how much to just, live life, relax, that kind of stuff. I'm also considering a tutorial of some sort, maybe just something really simple to explain kind of there's not much to explain, but there is a couple of little nuanced things that you can do with the plane fluttering. Basically, as I've said before, there's sort of like a happy accident double jump thing that I've created where it sort of like keeps keeps the plane like gliding a little bit longer. It creates almost like a different arch than the standard just bouncing up and down sort of mechanic. So I feel like I should probably explain that, but that's, yeah, this video is already longer than I wanted it to be. So you guys, if you could like this video and subscribe to my channel, that really helps out. Hit the bell button and you will be notified every time I post a new video. I don't know what is gonna happen next week. Hopefully I make more substantial progress than I did this week, but I'm really happy with the generate level function that I created here, and I'm looking forward to fleshing that out a little bit more and really dialing it in. Fun stuff. That's what I'm working on. Let me know what you guys are working on, or if you have any other ideas that I could maybe implement last minute here as I'm trying to wrap up this project. I don't know how soon it'll come out though. I'm going to push to wrap it up very soon, but I just don't know. Anyways, that's it. I got to cut it off. Everybody, keep YouTubing it up.
Thanks for checking out Neon Dream Games channel. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell button so you can stay up to date on all the latest videos we have to offer. Don't forget to leave a comment to suggest what kind of videos you'd like to see more of in the future. See you in the next video.